Government to build 5 modern police stations under the Citizens Security Strengthening Program. Ministry of Water and Housing warns of housing scam. ALBOUYSTOWN man arrested for allegedly murdering common-law wife. In the region, Trinidad to liberalize fuel market. And internationally, U.S. Vice President debate, likely focus to be Trump's response to COVID-19. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. I'm George Gonzalez. Thank you for joining us. The Ghana Public Service Union has extended its ultimatum to the government by 2 weeks. Acting General Secretary of the GPSU, Kempton Alexander, said that the government has 2 weeks to meet their demands before they go on a full industrial action. The GPSU and the government have since entered into negotiations. The workers are demanding an increase in salary, risk allowances, and other benefits. They also want the risk allowances to be granted to all of the nation's healthcare workers, as they feel that the nature of the job itself puts them all at an elevated risk of infection, and not just those who are directly working with COVID-19 patients. The operational capacity of the Ghana Police Force will be improved by the construction and rehabilitation of 5 police stations within the next year. According to Bibi Bacchus, the effort is actually a part of a multi-billion-dollar program funded by the IDB.
4 new police stations will be built and an existing one rehabilitated to boost the capacity of the Ghana Police Force. The works will be carried out under the Citizens Security and Strengthening Program, a multi-billion-dollar crime-fighting effort funded by the Inter-American Development Bank. The new police stations will be built at Wim and Albion in East Berbice Quarantine, Madia, Pataro Superuni, and Wismar, Upper Demerara Berbice, while the Parika Police Station on the East Bank Essequibo will be renovated. Under the CSSP, 18 police stations will be modernized nationwide. To date, 12 have been completed. These include the rehabilitation of police stations in primary hinterland locations. For Headline News Update, Bibi Bacchus.
Thanks, Bibi. On Tuesday, 25-year-old Karan Taylor was acquitted for the 2015 murder of 22-year-old Senasi Lewis. Taylor was accused of murdering Lewis on September 4th of 2015 in front of the Ghetto Flex nightclub in ALBOUYSTOWN. During his trial, he had maintained his innocence and was released on a no-case submission made by his attorney. Originally, Taylor was jointly charged with Clive Ford, also known as El Sinki, for the murder. Ford was fatally shot by police after he escaped from the Lusignan prison in July 2017. Stick around, we have more news coming up after the break.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
Oh gosh, what's this? Me son can't read or spell. Stop! 0 out of 20. Is what I could do here.
Hi guys, my name is Ms. Kojusek and I'm the Senior Teacher at the Agriculture After School Program. Due to the spread of the coronavirus and the need for social distancing, we have moved our in-class learning activities to online via Skype. On the online side, we will be focusing on spelling, phonics, reading, and the National Grade 6 assessments. For more information, you can inbox us or call us.
Contact us on 675-4379.
I can call them now.
Hidden Treasures, discovering gems in young minds.
Welcome back. In this report, BB Backus tells us that the ALBOUYSTOWN man who is accused of murdering his wife yesterday morning has been apprehended by police.
Last evening, officers arrested 45-year-old Nicholas Sean Williams. Williams fled after he allegedly murdered his wife, 28-year-old ALBOUYSTOWN resident Clarabelle Johnson. Around 6 p.m., the police located Williams on James Street after receiving a tip-off about his location. Williams is accused of fatally chopping his common-law wife behind her right knee. He attacked her with a cutlass during a heated argument between the two at their home early yesterday morning. According to their neighbors, Williams had a history of violence against Johnson. The mother of 3 was taken to the Georgetown Public Hospital where she died while receiving medical treatment. Williams is currently in police custody assisting with the investigation. For Headline News Update, BB Backus.
Thanks, BB. On September 25, 2020, the Child Care and Protection Agency, in collaboration with UNICEF, opened a child advocacy center in the Tamari Health Center compound. Thus far, several of such centers have been built nationwide. According to Anne Green, the director of the CPA, the multidisciplinary approach is to record the child victim's account of the abuse. As such, the program requires the involvement of the police, the justice system, and the health ministry. In essence, the building is designed to allow a forensic interviewer to speak to child victims in a special room, while the representatives from the key disciplines observe and listen to the interview in a different space, thus only requiring a child to recount their experiences once, thus lessening the possibility of further trauma. The Ministry of Housing and Water is advising the public to be aware of scammers who are pretending to sell house lots for $100,000. Here's Esther Sobers with more.
The Ministry of Housing and Water has released a statement informing the public that scammers are contacting persons via a telephone pretending to be the Minister of Housing and Water, Colin Crowell. The scammers, claiming to be Minister Crowell, said that he is allocating house lots to single parents in Providence, Lozignon, and Parfit Harmony for $100,000. That is false. The statement further explained, quote, "It has been brought to the attention of the ministry that persons are being asked to send monies to an MMG account which is falsely being linked to the office of the First Lady, Ms. Arya Ali, under the pretext of making payment for a house lot." The ministry noted that the allocations are only made by the Central Housing and Planning Authority and not directly through the minister's office. Anyone seeking to purchase a house lot must apply to the CHMPA. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Don't go away. Coming up after the break, police officer in Chile accused of throwing teen from bridge, and US VP debate, likely focused to be Trump's response to COVID-19.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
Oh gosh, what is this? Me son can't read or spell. Stop! 0 out of 20. Is what I gonna do here?
Hi guys, my name is Ms. Singh and I'm the senior teacher at the literature after school program. Due to the spread of the coronavirus and the need for social distancing, we have moved our in-class learning activities to online via Skype. On the online side, we will be focusing on spelling, phonics, reading, and the National Grade 6 assessments. For more information, you can inbox us or call us.
Contact us on 675-4379.
I can call them now.
Hidden Treasures, discovering gems in young minds.
Welcome back. The Trinidad and Tobago government have announced plans to liberalize the liquid petroleum fuel market, noting that since 1974, the liquid petroleum products market has been subject to public economic policy. Finance Minister Colm Imbert delivered the $49.5 billion Trinidad and Tobago budget to Parliament on Monday, and he said that as a small oil and gas producing country, the view was held that citizens should always benefit from the wealth of the country. Imbert told legislators that the government has analyzed the subsidy impact on the national community and, quote, "We have formed the judgment that not only did the subsidies disproportionately benefit the higher income groups, but their usage was inefficient from an economy-wide perspective," end quote. Both the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce and the American Chamber of Industry and Commerce has welcomed the decision to liberalize the fuel market. The private sector group said that they view the move as progressive steps towards more public-private partnerships and will improve efficiencies. Protesters have taken to Chile's streets for a year to call for more equality and recognition of their rights, but the police have cracked down hard, prompting human rights organizations to condemn the brutality of Chile's security forces. Al Jazeera's Lucia Newman reports.
It took only a second. A Special Forces policeman appearing to hurl a 16-year-old student protester over this bridge, 7.5 meters down into a river. The youth survived, but the alleged culprit has been charged with attempted homicide, and other officers with trying to cover it up. But the timing couldn't have been worse.
If someone did not respect the law, he should of course be sanctioned accordingly. But the support for our police force is key, especially because we need peace in our country for October the 25th.
The Interior Minister is referring to this month's constitutional referendum. But the protests are already heating up ahead of October 18th, the day that marks the start of last year's social uprising. It's led to thousands of charges of brutality on the part of riot police.
This is the bridge from where the demonstrator was hurled into the river last Friday. And despite a state of emergency that's been called because of the pandemic, which forbids demonstrations, there have been nearly daily protests ever since. But the public outrage is also being fueled by what is widely regarded as sweeping impunity.
Felipe Riquelme and José Amaro are shouting, "Democracy cannot survive with so much impunity." They're among the 450 Chileans who were injured in one or both eyes by riot police, shooting pellets or tear gas canisters, often at point-blank range. Amaro tells us he was trying to help a protester who was being beaten by police when he was shot this July. Riquelme says many are now suffering from untreated depression and panic attacks.
I suffered an eye injury and fracture of my skull and lost total sight of my left eye. I was a qualified welder and now I can't support my family. The state has abandoned us in terms of promised health care and in terms of justice.
Chile's Institute for Human Rights says that the vast majority of cases of violations committed by security forces remain unpunished. Of the 2,500 cases of abuses presented by the Institute, including sexual assaults, torture, and murder, only 32 officers have so far been officially charged.
The government must take firm action to ensure effective reform of the police institution, as well as substantially increase the budget of the judiciary branch so it can do its job. Unfortunately, I don't see the political will.
It's a vicious circle. At a time when trust in Chile's institutions is at a historic low, the ongoing abuses are likely to fuel yet more social unrest. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera, Santiago.
And internationally, the two candidates vying to be the next Vice President of the United States are preparing for a showdown in Salt Lake City, Utah. The debate between the incumbent, Mike Pence, and Kamala Harris will likely focus on President Donald Trump's health and his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. Al Jazeera's Rob Reynolds reports.
Amidst the head-spinning events of the past week, the vice presidential debate on Wednesday takes on unprecedented significance.
This is going to be a critically important debate.
Usually, VP debates are sideshows, with the candidates earnestly discussing issues and tossing the occasional verbal zinger. But as Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris take to the stage in Salt Lake City, the main issue is literally a matter of life or death.
I think there's going to be an enormous focus on the president's health, Mr. Biden's health as well, frankly. They are the two oldest presidential nominees in American history. But right now, with the president ill and some questions swirling about how truly ill he is, it really puts into stark contrast what this debate is actually about. And it is making sure that a person is ready to become president at a moment's notice.
In terms of substance, the debate will almost certainly focus on how the Trump administration has handled the pandemic. That puts Pence, who chairs the White House Coronavirus Task Force, in a difficult spot.
He ran the task force. He was chosen by the president to do it. He was responsible for those early, statements about just flattening the curve. I mean, I imagine those that are working with Kamala Harris in preparation for this debate are spending a lot of their time coming up with creative ways to lay this all at the feet of the vice president and the president.
The style of the two candidates is quite different. Pence is stoic, unflappable, and unlikely to get rattled on stage. He's a seasoned debater, and his experience as a radio talk show host in the 1990s prepared him to think on his feet. Harris, a former courtroom prosecutor, has shown her ability to disconcert administration officials in Senate hearings.
I wouldn't.
Yes or no?
Could you repeat that question?
I will repeat it.
With great uncertainty over whether the two remaining presidential debates will take place at all, the showdown in Salt Lake City may be the last debate before Election Day, in a campaign full of unpredictable twists. Rob Reynolds, Al Jazeera.
That's all for today's regional and international news. Here is your 3-day weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of Headline News Update. Tune in at Friday at 6 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Also, visit our website at headlinenewsghana.com for all the news we couldn't fit in the newscast. Until then, take care.